What's up, everybody? Good morning and welcome to the Shred Show Live. I am so excited as always. Every single morning, we're bringing you valuable content, valuable information for you to go out and shred within your business. And I have a new friend and new guest on the show. Nick Belenky is joining me, and we're going to be having such a valuable conversation. You've heard the word CRM before, and when you hear CRM, sometimes your eyes just glaze over. You're like, oh, here we go. But we're talking about how you can sharpen your competitive edge with marketing technology. Marketing is everything. It's everything. Every single day we're doing marketing, whether we think about it or not. We're going to talk about how to sharpen your edge, how to separate yourself, how to differentiate yourself from the competition. We're in a noisy world, and you really have to micro-tune. You have to understand what is helping the consumer, what is changing their thinking patterns. And Nick and I are going to have such a great conversation on it. Ladies and gentlemen, sit down, buckle up, grab your drink, and come join me and Nick, because we're about to share some really, really good information for you and your business. Are you ready? Are you ready? It is time to shred. What is up, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Shred Show Live. So excited to have Nick Belenky with me this morning from Surefire Top of Mind. And honestly, Nick, this is one of those conversations. It's such a hot conversation. It's such a hot topic throughout the entire morning. It's literally, I hear it all the time. And it's going to be one of those things for you and I this morning that I'm excited to dive into, because sharpening your edge, sharpening your competitive edge more specifically, is such a big thing. And I'm excited because you're one of those guys who's relatively new to the industry. You have, over 13 years of experience when it comes to B2B sales. And now you're the CRO, Chief Revenue Officer for Surefire. And then you're actually the marketing automation solutions for Black Knight. So you get all this stuff. It's super exciting, but I don't want to dive into too much of your background. I want you to share a story. So for those who don't know you, share a little bit about you and your background.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Well, so first of all, love your hustle, love the show, love the shred. A lot of this is, a lot of what you talk about has been part of my career, and part of how I got here. That I was saying earlier, the phone's in a picture for a reason, because it's called First Culture, and I'm out there hustling every day too. So I'm excited about talking to you. So now that said, I'm like a lot of loan officers and originators in the mortgage industry. Like you said, it's not my first gig. It's not where I started. I actually have an unusual path. Started as an engineer, fell in love with sales leadership. I've been really fortunate. Worked for some notable companies, Visa, top of mind, as you mentioned, Surefire, and now Black Knight. It's excellent. I'm just excited about it. And originators are like my spirit animal. I when I got in this industry, I'm like, this is great. This is awesome. I love sales. I love sales process. And this is like the crucible. This industry is the crucible for sales process, and getting out there and doing it, and having a plan and executing. So the mortgage industry, I absolutely love it. I'm kind of new. I'm my second year, but I've learned so much, and there's so much to talk about today. So thanks for having me.
Oh, well, I'm excited to have you, because honestly, this is one of those conversations. Brokers, mortgage originators, they continue to grow, but at the same time, it's never been more competitive than it is now. We live in such a competitive market where even if you're the same brokers, like you're competing for consumer attention. That's what it is. Like, let's just call it as it is. We're all trying to compete. And how do the smaller brokers, the small mom and pop shops, the entrepreneurs, if you will, those who are trying to grow with so much noise, how do you set yourself apart? How do you really compete in a marketplace where you have big companies? We won't mention the names, but you know them. They have a rocket in their name. You have millions of dollars to spend. How do you compete with something like that? And it comes down to really knowing the technology, knowing what's available. And like you and I were talking as we were getting ready, like there's some simple tools right at the fingertips of originators. And Surefire, I will tell this, and then again, everybody knows how we do the show, but I can say from firsthand, I use Surefire as an originator. We used it for our company. Like, it was one of those things. It was a CRM that made sense. It was simple. It was automated. There were so many pieces of it. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But today we really want to help people cut through the noise and really set yourselves apart. So we've had a lot of incredible guests from Black Knight over the last few months. We've seen so many, from innovation to technology, but when it comes to this top of mind acquisition, when I first heard about it, I was like, well, at first I was a little nervous. I'm not going to lie, but then I'm like, wait a minute. This makes sense. The top of mind ecosystem, this was just a really good fit. So tell us a little bit about, I mean, when you being part of Surefire, being part of top of mind, how did you feel? And did it make sense for you?
Oh, it's thrilling for us. I mean, there's all the acquisition talk that, the background noise of it helps us scale and get bigger for our customers. And that is great. But the timing is what's got me excited about. The timing is awesome. So we all know what happened in 2020 in the mortgage industry. We know about the refi boom. And now as we're landing that plane, as it's coming back to some semblance of normalcy for a lot of originators, what are we working on? What's 2021 for us? It is retention. It's the year where we're taking our book and we want to sell to them again. We don't want to lose. The famous statistic that we're up against. This is what makes it such good timing, is that there was 18% retention last year. 18. I mean, that's rough. And so we're excited to partner.
Wait, that's industry wide.
Industry wide. So that means we got a lot of work to do as originators to make sure that we're getting the right to that referral business and that repeat business. That's on us. That's on us to do. And it's just a measure of the effort that we put into that. And we'll talk about a little bit of how, what some of the strategies are today. And then, what question am I getting? How do I get more leads? How do I get more leads? Soon as you don't have 1,000 leads coming in through your phone and it's just ringing off the hook, how do I get more? And the nervousness and the anxiety starts to set in. Man, you got your leads. They're already in your database. So partnering with Black Knight, adding Surefire's capability in the prospecting side is just fantastic. I mean, it's just Black Knight's data is second to none. Leveraging that and leveraging our customer data is going to be awesome. So I'm stoked. I'm excited. I'm thrilled about the fact that we're working with Black Knight, awesome company in the industry, but also the timing. Today couldn't be a better day to talk about the two companies working together.
No, I couldn't agree more. Timing is everything, especially in this industry. And I think now more than ever, with 2020 was a banner year. So many of us, and hearing that number, Nick, like it literally pains me. Like 18%. Just imagine all you originators out there. Just think about that number for a second. That means 1 in 4, 1 in 5. Like they're going somewhere else. You work so hard. You smooth them. You built that relationship, and yet they're going somewhere else. Like retention is like the backbone of our business, is our pipeline. So you mentioned something that I kind of want to dive into more a little bit, because competing in this message-filled world, how does a broker, how does an originator really get their brand? How do they get noticed? How can they differentiate from just the other ads that are being seen by consumers every single day?
Sure. And this is kind of where Surefire came from 18 years. We turned 18 this year, so it's very exciting.
Wow.
This is the I know.
You're finally hitting your adulthood. You're like finally
man. Josh, we're here. We've arrived. We can vote. So what's our vote going to be? I mean, look, this audience, we're not going to look up and see you on a blimp. You're not in a Super Bowl ad. Your name's not on a stadium. We get it, right? So you're going to have to get in there and I know, Josh, is something you talk about all the time. You got to get in there, be consultative. You got to have the human touch. But how do you outcompete? You got to find a way to apply that consultative approach, that educational, that engaging, that content-based approach, and you have to apply it at scale. And you have to use an automated system. And that's where things start to fall apart. Either it becomes automated and robotic, or it's just not out there at scale, and our originators are just completely burned out doing tasks, repetitive tasks that could certainly be automated. And so putting the two together is the key. That's how you're going to compete. You're going to have to be out there. You're going to be better. Look, you know what those other brand name companies are offering as a product. It's on a clock. It's on a timer. It's getting, they're originating at top speed sprint. We have to be consultative, but we have to do it in a way that lets our team touch more borrowers, talk to more borrowers, get more at bats. And that's where mortgage automation for your marketing, for your CRM starts to come into play. And that's what we do. That's what we've been doing for the 18 years that I was talking about. So differentiation, Matt, means getting out there and being consultative and providing value, to your borrowers.
That's the key, Nick, is providing value. It's staying in front of them. I mean, at Shred, being an attention impact network, we're all about you got to get the consumer's attention. You got to get their attention. And then how are you impacting their lives? How are you changing their lives? How are you adding value? Like you said, I think that is the key element to compete with these bigger companies. You have to be able to add that value. You have to continually share. And like going back to that number, that 18%, what are you doing for the rest of them? They're clearly not seeing the value from you. If they're going somewhere else, you're purely just providing them a rate or quick service or whatever it is. You've got to have that value. And you and I were talking about this, and because I want to dive into it, because when you first mentioned it as we were preparing, you mentioned ways of staying in front of and communicating, getting attention. You mentioned postcards, and I was like, wait a minute, like you can't be serious here. Like this is one of those things where I'm like Nick, we're in 2021, bro. Like we're in a virtual age. Postcards. Are postcards still a thing? Are they actually like relative?
Look, they're still a thing. They're still a thing. They really are. But why? Okay, obviously postcards isn't the secret, and the joke, like, look, cutting edge, closing gifts aren't the secret, right? But it's a visual gag.
I love it.
We need it for the medium. We'll talk about video in a minute, but here's where it was easy for me to say, go be consultative at scale. It's easy to say, saying it so it's flippant, right? The reality is you need to have a strategy. You got to divide up this is what I was talking about before. You got to have a strategy for prospecting. You got a strategy for when you're in the app in process. You have to have your post-close strategy to get that retention that we were talking about. You have to come up with a strategy. The big guys have their strategy. So you got to sit down and figure out what that's going to be. You got to figure out what that strategy is. And you got to go to scale. So what does scale mean? Well, scale means you're going to be using email. Scale means you're going to be using text. Scale means you're going to pick up that phone over there. Scale means that you're going to be, potentially you're going to be using direct mail, which is extremely successful. And I'll talk about that in a second. But you have to use all these approaches, all these different ways. Now, I can already hear, you said it earlier, someone said CRM, your eyes glaze over. It's like technology, and it's hard to get to. So how do you use technology to hit on all these points? Well, you're gonna have to rely on the platform to make that easy for you. So the platform's got to make it easy, because there's not an individual broker, there's not a single loan officer out there that's going to be able to be great at every single method of communication all the time. You're going to need the tech to push the easy button for you. And when it comes to postcards, like anybody can send a postcard. That's not the key. What I'm saying here is you got to have a system that makes that something you don't have to think about.
Bingo.
Automatically. Yep.
Having a system, and I'll go back, I'll reference this, and this is way before your time at Surefire, Nick, though. Back in the day, my post-closing, like everything after the process was wrapped up, part of Surefire, they used to send out this stamp, like this address stamp. I don't know if you ever heard about that, but I kid you not. That was my clients loved that thing. And that was like always the joke, like that I do a great job. I create a phenomenal experience, but then at the end, it was all automated. Again, I didn't have to do anything. Like once I put them into the CRM, I close it into the pipeline. They get this stamp from you guys. And it was always like, my clients loved it. But again, staying top of mind, creating that perceived value even is just such a thing. But like you said, now you have to do it at scale. You have to have a strategy in place. You have to do something where you're not having to go in and click. It's easy setup. Like we don't have time as originators. I always hear the number one thing is like, well, I don't have time to do this anymore. I don't have time to do this. You have to have a system that again helps you with the strategy. It's set up, it's done, it's ready, it's there for you. And one of those things that we've talked about a lot, that I talk about a lot, is even creating video at scale. Like creating content, being able to create video. And that's one of those things that I honestly is kind of a differentiating factor for me, is creating video. How can brokers really create connections with borrowers through video, in your opinion?
Well, okay, so Josh, there's two sides to this. I love when I'm talking to customers, I love pulling it apart. So on the one side, we talk about engaging educational content, again, at scale, right? So what do we need to do? You need to jump into the process when they're in process, they've got questions, there's a lot of stress. They're trying to buy their home. What are they going to do? They're going to pick up the phone and they're going to call their originator and they're going to ask 100 questions, same 100 questions the last person asked. If I can get in front of those questions with great content that carries the brand forward, content that's educational, sometimes even entertaining. We've got entertaining and we've also got highly educational content, goes both directions depending on the borrower base. then those type of videos, some of them are animation, some of them are pre-recorded from the originator, go a long way to letting you automate. So we talked about that before. But you got to be a human too. And that's how you're going to really compete against the big guys. And we lose this. I'll tell you about video. We asked last year, we asked all of our existing customers, we said, is video part of your is it part of your 2021 plan? And we got an insane, the response is great. 94.4% say yes, video is definitely part of our 2021 plan. All right, now I want you to, if you're listening to the show, stop for a minute and tell me how many video communications you sent out to your prospects and borrowers in the last day, month, week, whatever. Probably not a lot. So you got to come up with a platform that, again, makes it easy. The scripts are there to help you. Of course, a lot of the borrowers are going through the same thing, but they want to hear from you, the person, their consultant. Be that trusted advisor and show up on their phone. And the key is to be able to, if you're the originator, you're not just sitting at your desk here with a production studio. I know, Josh, you've got a production studio. Not everyone does. So you got to be able to send it from your cell phone. You got to be able to park the car, send it on the way to doing something else. And that's what a platform can help you do, like Surefire. But the key is that originators need to be asking these kind of questions before they go invest in technology, or you might get stuck behind having to do this manually, and which means you're not going to do it like everyone who said they didn't do it in the last week or month. So video is key. Everyone knows it's key. It's the execution that is just so hard. You got to get the platform to help you.
That's like a mic drop right there. Execution is key, but there's more, because I want to dig into this a little bit more. You mentioned cell phones. You have the ease of use is everything when it comes to like creating video, because again, most people don't have a studio. Most people don't have the soundboard, the mics, the lights, and all that. And honestly, like there are some people who I get these messages all the time, Nick. They're like, well, I can't do it like you, Josh. I don't have a studio. And I'm like, guys, I started my show on a cell phone. Like I started the Shred Show on a cell phone. And honestly, consumers, they don't have a setup like this. They don't even have a mic. Using your cell phone, they have a cell phone. If you do a quick video, it's like a Snapchat. It's like an Instagram story. It's real, I guess was really what it is, Nick. So that's okay to do it from your cell phone. And Surefire has, again, ease of use. You mentioned something that I think is so critical. And I told you, I was in a group yesterday of originators, and they were talking about CRMs. And that was the biggest thing is, hey, which CRM out there today is easy? Which one can I plug? It's a plug and play system. Sometimes I think originators don't do their due diligence. They don't do their homework enough to actually know, like, hey, you know what am I trying to achieve? What does this CRM need to do for me so I actually can go out and originate more loans? That's sometimes I don't think we actually think about that a lot.
Yeah, Josh, I mean, like my message to originators is stop torturing yourself with platforms that are maybe like the hot new cool thing, whatever that happens to be out there. If it's not mortgage specific, you're going to spend all the time building out a CRM. I mean, if that's not what you want to do for a living, don't do it every day. Don't go build a CRM. So go rely on a company that's got a blueprint for your success. I mean, that's what we call it. But essentially, like we know how to help you right out of the box with prospecting. We know how to connect your LOS. We know how we know how to send messages on your behalf in process, and we know how to keep your clients for life at the end. Our first guess is going to be a lot better than your first guess on how to go. I mean, no offense, but our first guess at this is going to be a little bit better. And then from there, tweak it, get in there, make it your own brand, and let the platform, which it's designed to do this, let the platform scale for you. So let the platform come in and add, you worked out what your brand is going to be. Let the platform project your brand, right? You worked out what your colors and your face and all your co-branding information. Let the platform push all that out there, and then rely on that platform for those communications. In fact, we did it for you, Josh. We said, what if we put Shred up on the platform today? What would it look like? And
let's show the people. You ready? Let's show them what it looks like. Because this is. I want you all to think about this before I show you this. This is how, because so many of you have that question in your head. You're like, but I'm a small broker. I'm a 1-2-man shop. How can I do omni-channel? How can I make this personalized? How can I build these marketing campaigns? Well, that's exactly what that Surefire does. That's it. It's simple. It's right there for you. Like, they created this simply at the touch of a button for me. Now you can go focus on what's important. You can still originate. Let's show them. Nick, I'm excited. Ready? Here we go. Let's get it. In there. Look at that.
Look at that guy. Yeah, your referral partner. Yep, there it is.
Boom. Nailed it. Like, here's one of those. First, congratulations, Connie. Connie, congrats on your new house.
Connie's done well, yeah.
She has an absolutely awesome house there. No, here's the thing, Nick. Like, looking at that, some of the people are like, oh, some of that's old school, some of that's new. Like, that's just it. There's a combination of it all. And that's what's key. Like I mentioned, being able to have a marketing team in your back pocket now, that's what this is. I talk about it so frequently. You need to create content. You need to build your brand, and you need to be able to do it as efficiently as possible. And that's exactly what Surefire has created here. Like, it literally is like having a marketing team in your back pocket.
Yeah, it's like a boost. It's just boosting the arm. I mean, it's starting from, if you start from zero, you start your brand. You got to start somewhere, and you can spend a ton of money on your startup costs, or you can tap into that, and it moves in the direction you're moving. And as soon as you got your own content, no problem. Upload it into Surefire, let it go in the same message streams, the same automations that are already set up, or make up your own. As you can invest, do it. And you know what, Josh, I felt like as soon as I saw it in the video, it's like, oh, I can't believe we didn't talk about social media too, because that's so critical right now. And we say it all the time, it's critical, but in developing content for social media is important, because if you're going to develop content for social media, it's got to be educational, engaging, interesting. Can't just be, can't be the same repetitive stuff that everybody else has put out there. So having just a source of some fresh material all the time, again, branded against your brand, it's critical. So we saw a little bit of that in the video, which flashed by, but I thought I had to at least say social once, or else wouldn't be doing us justice here.
See, but that is key. Something you just said in there, and I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but I always do, is you have to, those are those differentiating factors. You don't want the cookie cutter. Like, you want it to be about Nick. You want it to be about Josh. You want it to be about you. And having all these things at your fingertips, where you can post them on social media, you can create your own video. The branding is consistent throughout all of and that's what is so important. I tell people all the time, I mean, something that we're working on behind the scenes that I've told people, there's a difference between branding and brand. And what's so cool is Surefire brings it together. Like, it helps you with all of it. And it literally is. Most of you out there, you don't have a marketing department. And maybe, Nick, you nailed it. Maybe you don't even have a budget. Maybe you're just getting started. Understanding and starting to do your due diligence and your homework of, okay, what's here and what marketing platform is out there that can help me? It's going to simplify it. It's going to make me more efficient. What's cost effective? That is literally, now you've got a whole marketing department right there helping you, guiding you. Like you said, with the scripts, it's just right there to help you out.
Yeah, we'll be your team till you have a team, and we want to watch you grow. And we watch a lot of our customers get huge, and we're looking forward to seeing the listeners here do the same. So
that is that they'll be your team until you build your own team. Like, that's just it. You're their team. I talk about it so you cannot be successful. Back here, you all see teamwork makes the dream work. That's why I have it behind me.
There you go.
Your dream team is Surefire. You just need to plug into it, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, if you want more information about Surefire, we'll drop the link below. But Nick, this has been such a valuable conversation for everybody out there thinking about it. If you're just starting out as a broker, if you're trying to grow your business as an originator, and you're feeling like you don't have enough time to have a marketing team, this is your solution. This is an opportunity that you just need to look at. And again, we've only touched the tip of the, Nick, you and I, we're going on 25 minutes here, and we've literally just touched the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more we could dive into. We just barely touched on social media. There's campaigns that you guys have that just blow the minds of people in here. So you definitely everybody needs to go check it out. Check out the link we're going to drop below. And just, if you need more information, reach out to Nick, reach out to the team. They will help you. Now could not be a better time. Going in, everybody had a year. We started out. 2020 was banner for so many of you. You need to start thinking of retention now. You need to start being in front of, keeping the attention, and creating value for your consumers or they're going to find somebody else. They're going to see all those big name brands with all their dollars being spent out there. You have to be able to compete, and Surefire is your team. Nick, this has been an amazing conversation, man. Cannot thank you enough for hanging out with me and sharing so many of these tips, sharing so many of these strategies. And like I said, now's the time to do it, right?
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you, man.
Of course. Guys, there's so much more to come. Always, what we do here at Shred is we try to create value, try to start making you think. You need to be top of mind. You need to have Surefire so you can continue to engage with your audience. With that, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we appreciate you. We love you. Now it's time for all of you to go shred, go show up, hustle, repeat every day. See ya.